Hi, I'm Polly and welcome to a special series on the Elevated Life podcast with my friend, co-host, Nisha. Nisha is a therapist and someone I met just last year. What started as a glass of wine turned into hours of honest, expansive conversation, the kind that lingers, shifts something in you and makes you feel less alone. And we realised these weren't just conversations for us, they were stories that needed to be shared. So we hit record, and that's how the series was born. We talk about the real stuff, the fear that shows up when you start to grow, the friendships that change as you come home to yourself, and the stories we carry about worth, identity, and how much space we're allowed to take up in the world. We're not here to offer quick fixes or perform perfection. We're here to tell the truth, to sit in the messy middle, and to remind you, through story, that healing, growth, and self-worth aren't destinations, they're choices we keep coming back to. So whether you're in a season of up-leveling, letting go, or learning to trust yourself again, we're so glad you're here. Because the stories we tell shape the lives we live, and when we change the story, we change everything. This is the Elevated Life podcast. Let's begin. Nisha, we've known each other since when? Last year? How did we meet? Bumble.
Right.
Bumble BFF.
Yes.
To be clear.
Yes.
Not Bumble dating.
No. We're not dating.
And we're already doing a podcast.
We are. That's pretty cool. Right? I think it's cool.
So, something I've always wanted to ask you is, why were you on Bumble BFF in the first place?
To find you.
To find me.
To find people like me. I feel like it's difficult making friends in your 30s, right? I moved down to London, lived there for a little bit, moved around the country. And it's a struggle because you come back here and you kind of don't know anyone when you've been away for a few years. And you can't just go to the supermarket and see somebody else put the same thing in their trolley that you've got in yours and strike up a conversation and try and, do you want to be my friend? It's weird. And there are very few outlets, places you can go to naturally make friends. And so I think things like Bumble BFF, friendship making sites, it makes sense. And not only do you get to meet people, but you meet like-minded people as well.
And you can be specific. Like, when do you go?
Yeah.
I want someone who's ambitious, got their own business.
Well, actually, that's what I liked about your profile, is that you had it all listed, boom, 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 and it was like, this is the kind of people I want to surround myself
I
with.
meant business.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Friendship and business.
Yeah.
It works.
It does. And it's great because I saw some profiles of people saying, I just want to go out and make friends to, go out clubbing and that kind of thing. And if you're geared up for that, that's great. Where other people were saying, I'm more spiritual, I want to do this. And so you get to then differentiate between the friends. I think when you're at school, you kind of get put more, there's less variety that you get put together with people, right? Where this is more of you can be very selective and find your people, find your tribe as it is.
100%. And almost, I would say, let's say every second person on Bumble said, I'm on here because I'm in my 30s and it's really hard to find friends in your 30s.
Yeah.
And I'm exactly the same. I've got so many friends, I would say, or people in my life. But actually, and the only way I can describe this actually is I had a therapy session and it wasn't me that came up with this, but I love it. Imagine splitting your friends into threes, twos, and ones.
Right.
So threes, let's say one's being your best friend. You're going through a challenging time. You can ring them at any time and they'll support you through the tough times. The good times, the bad times, the fun times, and they're your people you can go deep with. Your twos, possibly you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
But you see them less and maybe you can't go as deep. Maybe they're a bit more fun friends and surfacey level.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just proximity. Maybe they were your ones, but they moved away, so they've stepped down to your twos.
Right.
And then you've got your threes, who you still might love, but they might have moved to a different country. And you just don't see them all. They're the people that you see once or twice a year. And I would say I had a lot of twos and threes, people I loved, but it'd be once or twice a year. I was looking for my bestie. I was looking for a friend I could see, like I have done with you. Are you free tonight? Can we go out?
Right.
Not where you have to book it, and then 6 months later, they're like, yes, I can fit you in.
Yes. Or I can see you in 6 months' time.
No, not here for that.
No.
Love these people, but I want my ones.
And there's something wrong with that. There's this kind of preconceived idea that when you get into your 30s, you have to schedule friends in, or you can't see them as often or frequently or socially as you would in your 20s. I don't subscribe to that.
And it's really interesting. I've just finished a book called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
I've heard good things about
so many people recommended this to me. And I was like, I'm going to have to read it.
Yeah.
And she talks about the great scattering. And she says, the great scattering looks like this. High school or college friends, and all friends scatter in different directions. Suddenly everyone is living in different places, and very soon all of your friends are on different timelines, working different jobs, hanging out with different people, and achieving milestones at different paces. And the structure that supported all your friendships is gone. So she continues to say that the reality is adult friendships come and go. Expecting friendship will destroy it. You need a more flexible and proactive approach. Let them move away. Let them prioritise their new friends. Let them not have time for me. Let them not text. Let them not include me, and let them go out to brunch. So basically, her whole book is about, instead of trying to change or control others, you simply let them do what they're going to do. Whether that's leaving, judging, or acting in a way you don't like. It's basically a way to protect your peace and focus and energy on yourself. And the let me is what you've got control of. So let me go on Bumble BFF. Yeah. Let me do a profile that specifically highlights the women that I'm looking for. And something that really annoys me, Nisha, is when you go on Bumble BFF and they've got one picture or two pictures and then they're like, I'm looking for friends. And it's like, yeah, but what kind of friends? You've got to be more proactive. You don't often fall into friendships.
I think it's the same with dating, right? When you've been on dating apps before and there's like one guy with that one picture and it's like they buy you and it's like, what are you hoping to get from this?
Why are you here?
This is how we get to know each other. But I think it's a really valid point that you have to, and you know, I know there's a vulnerability with putting yourself out there, but therein lies the benefit that show who you are. And I think we'll come on to this more a bit later, but don't be afraid to put yourself out there and show that, because you're not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But find your people, and you have to be vulnerable I think in any kind of relationship, whether it's romantic or friends or family. Show who you are. Those people then will, you know, like a magnet, they kind of attract. Like attracts like, right?
And I think sometimes you almost have to be your weird self or show someone who you are quite early, because if not, you could end up in a friendship that drags on years and years, and actually you're not being yourself completely. And I found myself in so many friendships like this that I was sort of fitting in, especially like university.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, this is a fresh start. I get to look for the people that, like, I've grown a lot over the last few years. I'm sure you have too. Yeah. That friends don't always come with us.
And it's tough as well, because I think there's a loss there. There's certainly like a grieving or a mourning that, well, we're not going to see them again. But I think the question to be asked is, just because they're different, are you holding on to something that maybe you need to let go of? And this is where I have a big belief around letting go of things that they don't serve you. Maybe that sounds a bit harsh, but we're constantly growing and evolving as people. And so, like you say, sometimes there is a letting go within that.
Definitely. And this is where the let them theory comes in. It's let them, and then what do I have control of? What can I do? And also, what I really loved is that she spoke about three things which made complete sense to me. She mentioned the 3 pillars of friendship that make great friendship possible. And that is proximity, timing, and energy. I was thinking about this because we've got all 3. We're just down the road from each other. We have got time for each other. And even if we don't have time, we make time, don't we?
Yeah.
And we both have the same energy. We want the same thing.
Yep.
And some of my friends, which maybe were a 1, have moved down to a 2. And I'm like, oh, why? So this really explains it for me. Because I'm like, oh, proximity, they've moved further away. It's much harder if your best friend, your close friend, moves to Canada or moves to Australia.
Yeah.
Time difference is harder.
Yeah.
Sure. Or if your friend has a kid, you know, the energy's different. They are putting more energy and, you know, fair enough, into their new family. And you're still, you know, not in that space at all. So I think these 3 really highlighted why someone moved from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 3 or even a 3 to a 1. It happens. And I think sometimes profound things are quite simple, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the obvious things, isn't it? And I think that's a great place to be able to, you can just pause and think, well, what am I, who 1s, 2s and 3s, right? To even, you know, to out in a journal or just think about it out loud. Who are these people? What does it look like? And what are the relationships and friendships I'm holding on to? Well, maybe there isn't much there and we're just doing it because we can't let go. We don't want to let go.
Yeah, the That's hard.
Yeah.
Is when you've had this person in your life a long time and you don't want to let go, but you know the energy's been off for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's when you come away feeling energized, that's when you know you've met your people.
Yeah.
When you come away feeling a bit drained and I wish I just stayed in and had a bath, they're not your people at the moment, and things could change.
Yeah.
But at the moment...
And I think that's true for any kind of relationship, whether it's family, partner, work relationships. When you don't feel like you've come away and had a good time with them and you feel depleted, I think they're called energy vampires. It's just going to suck the life out of you. But when you don't feel that you're ready and you want to make plans and it's you just, like you say, you go home and you're just exhausted from them, it's maybe a good place to stop and just take a few moments to reflect on what are they bringing, what am I bringing, are we aligned like we maybe used to be, or maybe never were.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Are you willing to share any of your bad experiences on Bumble BFF with us? Now, have you had any?
I have. Yeah. It talks a lot to our alignment. When you're kind of on the app, some people are more active than others, and then you get in touch or whatever, you agree to put a date in. Sometimes people will keep cancelling and you just think maybe they're not ready or whatever, and they've got their own stuff going on, which is fine. But I think it's when if you get to the stage of meeting somebody, you'll know in the first few minutes, do we click, are we aligned? And I remember that happened with us. Like, I think we felt very comfortable straight away. And with some people, you don't get that. I remember meeting one girl and it was kind of awkward because we just weren't aligned. And she said some quite, I wouldn't say necessarily like politically incorrect things, but she was quite maybe harsh, stereotypical, very unkind with her views. And I think she assumed that because we had got to the stage of meeting for that first time that we were going to be friends straight away and everything was going to be perfect and rainbows and unicorns. And actually I felt quite uncomfortable with the things she was saying. She was very derogatory towards men. She was very racist to some groups of people, and it just left me feeling this is not the kind of person I want to, surround myself with.
It's the same as dating that, matching is the first step. The second bit is you want to show up almost as yourself, but as your best self.
Yes.
So that you can see that there's a match. Like, it sounds like it wasn't a match.
It was not. We were not friends after that.
I have a few. And actually, this is why when I met you, I remember being like, within the first few minutes, oh my God, I love her. And thank the Lord, I had 2 bad Bumble. And one of them, I put on my profile. I don't know if I still have this, but it was like, I love deep chats over wine. And so I met at Oxford Wine Cafe, and this girl sort of showed up, didn't like wine. And we had some deep chats. And at the end of it, like, I was like, it's a bit awkward, but I tried my best. I really tried. And it felt like the energy was off.
Yeah.
She actually had a really cute sausage dog called Nala, which is the name of your dog.
There's only one OG Nala.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I met her and we chatted and persevered. We went through an hour and a half.
Okay.
And she went really funny at the end of it. And I was like, what's happening here? Why is her energy off? And she sent me a message. Sort of, I was like, hey, nice to meet you. She rejected me, I would like to say.
Okay.
Me.
How?
She said she thought that I made her negative. So I am a fan of deep chats, and I didn't initiate this. She started talking about her parents and how her parents had the IQ of a banana. I was a little bit shocked about this and where the conversation took. At the end of it, she said that you made me negative. And I was like, I didn't. And you can make yourself negative. It wasn't a match, and it was a really, really odd one. At the end of it, she was like, and I didn't even like wine. I was like, then why did you agree to go to the Oxford
did you
Wine
agree?
Why are we here? At a wine
Why
cafe.
are we here?
Why are we here? And, I had another one, and she just spoke about herself, and, she was a little bit like, oh, you're an Airbnb host. I'm an engineer. And I was like, okay, there's a space for everyone in this world.
Right.
And me as well.
Yeah.
So I met you, and I was like, oh, thank God. Because I almost don't think I could have done another one.
Yeah, it's tough. And, I think kind of like dating, it does put you off. You think, there's a lot of energy.
Where are my people?
Yeah.
Where are they? Another saying that I've always liked is a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Oh, that's nice.
So some people are there to give you a lesson. I don't want to be friends with these kind of people. A season. I've had some great friends who I loved, and I thought they'd be friends for life. And they sort of just like disappeared, or life got in the way. And I've learnt now to just not expect things to last forever. And I guess thinking that way makes you be a little bit more present.
Yes.
And then you've got your lifetime friends, and you never know who they're going to be. You can only connect the dots looking back, can't you?
Yeah, that's very true. But I like what you say about being present, because it's important. I think we're constantly, And I see this with a lot of the clients that I work with. Interestingly, a lot of females is that we're looking always to the future. Oh, I've got this plan, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing that, then...
Yeah.
And when I ask them, like, how present do you feel? And they're like, well, no, I planned for Halloween, I'm thinking about Christmas. I've got to Christmas, I'm thinking about New Year. And it's so important to have that presence, that awareness, that let me just live in this moment, because we're either living in the past, things like dysregulated nervous systems, past traumas, or we're looking at the future and we're anxious then about it, right? It's, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm really worried. Is this going to go to plan? Is something else going to go wrong? If you can be in that moment, even if it's just going for a drink with a friend or partner or whoever it is, or just spending that time being in that moment, it's so much more relaxed. It's so much more relaxing, right? And you're able to be more present, to be more aware, and to appreciate that as well. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you go out with someone and you go, how long have you got? How long can we meet up for?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I've got 2 hours. And you're like, well, it's going to take us like 2 hours to get into it.
Yes.
I like can we see each other for a day? Can this go on tonight?
Yeah.
Do you have plans tomorrow?
Right. I think it's more fun as well when it's sporadic. It's that spontaneous, like, oh, what's going on?
It's not always possible. We are busy people. Your people that come to see you in therapy, your clients, do you get a lot of specifically female people come in with struggles with friendships, or that they don't have as many in their 20s? Do you find this is a large struggle, a struggle for a lot of people?
I think so. And I think it's for a lot of reasons. I think from a young age, we're taught not to connect with other women. We're taught to compete, right? We're conditioned from a young age, compared with other women for attention, validation, success. And what this does is create a subtle rivalry, and there's inherently an emotional distance within that rather than that safety and support. And this creates a divide. As well, there were also then painful experiences with things like gossip, betrayal, jealousy, and this helps shape how we feel about women. We used to be a community hundreds of years ago where women were so closely knit. Women of all ages, generations would come together. We were so close that even things like looking after each other's children in this like community setting, whether it was, like a small town or
Takes a village.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where that saying comes from. It took so many people to help and look after each other, and we were there, that support was there. Even things like breastfeeding each other's children. It was such a beautiful sense of coming together. Nobody got left behind. Nobody was outcast for any reason. And that's been lost over time. And I think that's a really sad thing, because as great as it is to be career-driven and have all these wonderful ambitions as a woman, this also then creates a distance. You can't ask for help. You can't seek any kind of support, because then you're weak as a woman. And I think that is also where this divide comes from. And I think as well, with going a bit deeper into this now, growing up, the relationship that you have with your mother is very important, right? Because if you can't trust your mother, arguably, who can you trust? And so women need, young girls, babies, female children and boys, need that nurturance, they need guidance, they need protection from their mother. And if that's not there, they don't feel that need has been met, it's going to create a distrust, right? Because if you can't trust mum,
who can you trust?
Same with dad, like if you can't trust dad, who can you trust? And so not only does that shape the relationship with mum, but also then how a girl feels about herself.
Oh, there's this interesting, something that's just sort of come up for me is I've always said they're going to leave me. So I've always thought, and I think this has something to do with our happiness quota. I read a book, The Big Leap, that when I feel really happy and with you, we're having such a great time, I'm like, oh, but is she going to hang around?
Right.
And because I had this thing with my parents, they were divorced, and I go from one to the other, and, I didn't have a great emotional relationship at times with both of them, that there is this thing that, are they going to leave me? Is it just going to be a season? Am I going to find my lifetime people?
Yeah. And I think that self-trust also shapes how we relate to people. If a woman doubts herself, her worth, her choices, her her voice, her instincts, how she's able to express herself, it becomes harder than inherently to trust anybody else. And what we do is we project our insecurities outward. And then this can lead to things like defensiveness, misinterpretation, withdrawal from relationships.
Making up stories in your head that might not necessarily reflect what's going on.
Absolutely. And what I think is really interesting, coming back to what you said about control in relationships, in Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory, is that betrayal in female friendships isn't often about the betrayal itself. There is then perhaps a sense of collapse or unsafety in the relationship when we feel that we're being fully seen, right? And this goes back to things like early attachment styles. It mirrors that. And what will happen is an old wound from early childhood will resurface in adult relationships. But it's rare that this lens is applied to friendships. It's either parental relationships, romantic relationships. And so most focus on these romantic family ties. But when you apply this frame to female friendships, it makes a lot of sense.
How do we heal that?
Therapy.
Therapy.
Who knew?
Who
knew, right? And I want to go in a little bit deeper with this, because I think what makes a female friendship rupture and be painful is this emotional intimacy that we were denied growing up, maybe from mum, maybe from dad. Even if we had an older sister or a younger sister, we felt that maybe we weren't close to.
Yeah.
And so when you grow up in these homes where that aspect isn't there, it's so difficult to be able to apply it outside in a friendship relationship. But also a close female friend can also be then a surrogate attachment for that. And so it's like, well, I didn't get this ed when I needed it growing up. Therefore, we click and we like similar things. I'm going to put all of those unmet attachment needs onto this person.
And my guess, all this can build up and there can be conflict. And what we don't know, I don't think anyone I know is very good at this, is resolving conflict.
Yeah.
So many of my friendships, I could have, or I feel like we could have got over it. I'm a big believer that the strength comes from conflicts and resolving them.
Yeah.
And so many people end it too quickly.
Right.
And I wish we could normalise couples therapies, but for friends. Why isn't that more of a thing?
Yeah. I think the answer to that is going to therapy to do the work on yourself. It's so easy for us to externalize things and project, they did this and this is why they're so terrible. But actually, if we can take a moment to be introspective and look at ourselves, what was it about what they did trigger me? What is it internally that's feeling unsettled here? Because that's what anxiety is. It's a messenger or protecting that internally something's not right. And so many women will confuse loyalty with self-abandonment in friendships. And they call it trust. Again, leading to that early attachment when those needs that weren't met. What we do is we push away those parts of us that we don't like, rather than being able to say, well, I can still be your friend regardless. Anything that's triggered, we push to one side.
Fascinating, isn't it? The amazing friendships we'd have if we delved a little bit deeper, did the work in therapy, and could come back together again and have that conversation. I don't know about you, I've got a graveyard of conversations I haven't had. And sort of getting older and maybe a bit wiser and a shitload of therapy, I know what I would say now, that I didn't have the skills or the tools back then to say it.
And we live in a society where we equate trust with tolerance.
Yes.
If you can tolerate me, I can trust you, and vice versa.
Oh, okay.
What would be great is for a disagreement to be had, but you can still be friends. I can say, I think that's a hideous jacket. And
you thought I need to go back to the hairdresser.
Girl, there's roots on you.
Not good. And I only had it done 2 weeks ago.
Right. And so I think this is a really healthy dynamic to be able to say, I'm not too keen about this. Not that you're wrong or terrible, because this is where we internalize things. Right? Even if a friend gets a new boyfriend and we know he's not good, maybe he's a bad boy, he's trouble, whatever it is, the friend that has this partner starts to get very defensive, perhaps because she knows unconsciously on some level, he's not good for me and she's looking out for me.
Maybe in denial herself.
Absolutely. But what we do is we then prioritize the romantic relationship over the friendship.
Gosh, so true. It's so true. My very best friend at school, we used to live in each other's pockets. Like, call every day. We had that time. We had the proximity. We had the same energy. It worked.
Right.
Then she met this guy, and just like that, she dropped me. And we had been friends for 10 years.
Yeah.
And we reconnected again in lockdown. She was still with this guy, but he had cheated on her. Things weren't going so well. And we reconnected. And she spent 2 weeks with me, and it was incredible. And then she found another guy who she met on Bumble, and she dropped me again. We can have the romantic relationships.
Yeah.
And we can have the friendships. We don't have to choose. And I understand a freshly new relationship, you want to be in it, don't you?
It's
You
exciting.
do abandon your friends for a little bit, but come back.
Right,
Come
absolutely.
back. I'm still here. And at what point do you go, do you know what? Second time, do I accept this behaviour again?
Absolutely. I had a client this morning said the same thing. He said, we were talking about relationships, and he said, boy, oh boy, when your mates get a girlfriend, don't they drop you? And it was, you could just see it on his face that he was really, really kind of upset. And I think it's important to maintain those friendships as well. It's great to finally met the one or have that romantic connection for sure.
Let them have that time. Let me go and get another friend. Let me go and meet another
Well,
Nisha.
it's not impossible.
There is
I don't know.
So my very best friend here, known her for 10 years now. She was my neighbour. We saw each other all the time. And now she has 2 kids. I still love her as much. We speak regularly on WhatsApp. We probably meet every 3 months. And she lives down the road to me. But different energy because she's got kids. And I used to be able to spend all my time with her. It's like, do you know what we do need more than like, we need a few close friends.
Yes,
don't we?
absolutely. And this is where I think real trust, it's important to have things like mutual responsibility and accountability to be able to have those boundaries. And I think we spoke about this before, that we'd rather have somebody who's honest than somebody who's nice. You want a friend who is going to tell you straight if your hair looks terrible or whatever it is, or you're making bad choices, to sit down and say, you need to have a sodding word with yourself, because this is not the kind of person I know you to be. You deserve more than this. Your worth is more than this.
You deserve better hair.
Absolutely. And even with, bad decision making or whatever it is, you don't want somebody who's going to just say, oh yeah, no, I think you're making the most amazing choice. Well done. Even if it's going to set them up for failure. That's not what true friendship is.
And just to add on that, I completely agree. There's a difference between niceness and kindness.
Right.
Niceness is false. Niceness is actually what majority of all women have been brought up to be. Smile, be nice.
Yes.
And actually that's not their truth. Kindness is, as you said, go get your hair done.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a lot deeper than that. And kindness, it's not always nice to tell someone.
Yeah.
I think that guy's not the right guy for you, but it's kinder than being like, go for it. Yeah, I mean, sure, go for it.
Why not? See what happens,
exactly.
right? And I think therein lies the trust is, well, she's saying this. Do I trust her? I've not known her for that long. Is it that maybe she wants my boyfriend, and things like paranoia then kick in?
I definitely trust someone way more if they say something that I might perceive as being negative, which is actually kindness. I know that they'll tell me the truth. And that is such a big, that's everything.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. And there's a lot more value in those relationships rather than it being surface level. It's great to have people that you go out and socialise with, hit the clubs, that kind of thing. I used to see this a lot in uni, that you'd go out, a girl would get left behind because her friend's necking on with some lad she's just met, and this poor girl doesn't know what she's doing, and then try and bring her into your group of friends. And it's not just about having friends. And I think this is where some friends are kind of like a stepping stone. People use them as a stepping, well, I just need to get there, but I can just hop on her and then I'm going to be able to go off and do something else instead. And I think that's really disingenuous. And naturally, that's where this lack of trust comes from. You can't trust people when that's been broken.
So the solution is working on yourself?
I think so. Well, no. I know so. Absolutely. And it begins with having these safe spaces where you can find real support. So therapy is great for that, to be able to self-trust and heal these relational wounds. I was talking to a client not too long ago about this, and I was saying about how unfair it is that when we break up with somebody, that relationship ends. But with that also has to end our views of that person or how they made us feel. We can't go into a new relationship carrying those thoughts that, well, all men are just liars and cheaters. Because the truth is that if you keep thinking that, you're going to manifest that reality. You're not going to trust that partner. You're not going to be able to become vulnerable with him. And so that's why it's so important for us to wipe the slate clean in that respect and say, nope, whatever that was, that's the end of it. Right?
Totally, completely.
Because I don't think it's fair. And it's the same with friendships as well. We can't go into a new friendship thinking, well, actually, they're only going to be with me because, I don't know, I have a lot of Instagram followers and they want influencers and all these kind of negative traits and attributes. We have to go into it thinking, this is it. So healing those wounds, absolutely, in a judgment-free space where you can just explore things as well.
I have a question. Why therapy? Why did you go into therapy? I love getting therapy, but I'm not going to become a therapist. How come you went into therapy? Why therapy and not like a singer? Or
I can't sing. I can rap Spice Girls on a good day.
Why not?
Why not stay in law?
Why not anything? I can't think of any job right now, but why not go into dentistry? What made you be drawn to therapy?
So I went through the process myself. I had a really difficult time, and I remember I saw a couple, maybe 3 or 4 therapists, and with each one, I just didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard. Somebody who was clock watching. Every time I looked at him, he'd look at the clock on the wall, and I thought, am I the money bag here? I don't know. There was another therapist who really got under my skin because I was struggling with anxiety then. And I would say to her, I'm struggling with this. I had panic attack at the weekend. Like, what do I do? And honest to God, she looked at me square in the eyes and she said, you're feeling anxious. You've got a panic attack. Just breathe. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And I thought in that moment, you've never had anxiety before, because the one thing that you can't do when you've got anxiety is breathe.
And also, deep breaths are not always, it's not always the right thing to do.
Because you've gone into the fight or flight. Your nervous system is high, it's running, and you don't feel safe. There is that lack of sense of safety in yourself. And so I had a lot of these different experiences with therapists. And I remember thinking, when I get out of this, I've got to help. Because it broke my heart thinking there are so many other people out there who are being told this kind of terrible advice, if not worse. I retrained, requalified in lots of different things. And here I am now. And I promise you, the one thing I do not say to my clients when they say they've got anxiety is breathe. We work at tools and strategies in the moment. Or how are you, trying to open up that window of being able to acknowledge what's going on, right? You go from nervousness to stress to anxiety to panic attack. How can we break that down a little bit? What are the things that you could do or say to yourself in that moment to get grounded, to be able to sink back into your body and to just try and notice your nervous system rather than that panic kicking in, that horrible, that sweaty feeling, that clammy hands, the pit in your stomach, feeling nauseous or feeling sick, whatever it is that there are lots of different symptoms for people. But trying to work on that in the moment, but also then doing the deeper work. Why are we feeling anxious? There are lots of different reasons for anxiety. Some can be relational. Some can be things like childhood traumas coming up. Some can be things like PTSD. What I've noticed with a lot of my clients, and this happened to me as well, is there will be an event in your life where something happens and it fractures and this whole bunch of crap comes out. And that's when I'll get the call. I'm really struggling. Can you help me? Let's book in a session. Let's take some time together. And that's the...
I mean, I'm a huge fan of therapy. And I think in an ideal world, we would all have a therapist.
Yes.
I think the world would be a much better place.
Do you remember at school when you got taught to do that PHSE?
Yes.
What a crock of shit. Sorry.
It's rubbish.
I didn't understand what it was, but instead, let's talk about mental health.
Yes.
Let's talk about important things like anxiety when you're feeling low or you're not feeling good enough or you haven't got the confidence.
Yeah.
If we start educating children across the world, and we'll start in this country just for starters, but across the world to feel better in themselves, to have that sense of trust. Not, oh, you've done this wrong, you're a terrible child, how dare you, you're so stupid, you stupid little girl.
No,
Instead of, okay, well, they didn't work, but that's okay. What's another way we can work around this?
And also, how to be a good friend and how to support someone.
Absolutely.
Do we know how to support a friend that is going through a mental health battle?
Yeah.
No, we do not. Very few of us do.
Yeah.
You obviously, because you're a therapist.
Yes,
I
yeah.
don't think we've mentioned that one before. But we don't have these tools.
Yeah, it's
We
true.
sort of throw spaghetti up against the wall hoping something will stick and probably doing harm in the way.
Absolutely. Well, you ruin beautiful wallpaper and paint in the
Well,
process.
exactly. Who wants spaghetti up against the wall?
Yeah, absolutely. And everything that we do is relational, but rarely do we apply that relational dynamic to ourselves.
True.
Right? When we start trusting ourselves, when we are able to live from a place of authenticity, when we have autonomy for ourselves, when we're self-actualizing, when we see this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get it, this is what I did to get it.
We're not projecting our insecurities onto the other person.
It changes the game, and there's so much benefit in doing that. And that's a lot of the work that I do with my clients is once we've cleared things that need to be worked through, then we start looking at, well, how do you instill this sense of trust and safety in yourself?
I'm sold. When do we have our first session? I think we're having it now,
15 minutes. Well, yeah, and I think this is what I'm hoping this series is going to do is just give these little snippets as well of well, how do we do this? Because you don't always have to stay stuck in this feeling terrible, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy or deserving.
Yeah. It's fascinating because I work with a lot of women who are in business and we tend to carry... It doesn't stop in business. You don't just go, do you know what? This is my personal self at home. When I step into business mode, entrepreneur mode, I step in feeling worthy. I step in feeling I believe in myself. I step in with all these things you don't.
Yeah.
It comes with you into your career. It follows you everywhere.
It does.
And actually that work will catapult you in every aspect of your life.
100%. And then also the small things do as well. That little whispering self-sabotage. Well, you sure? Can you do this? Oh, I've got a course coming out, a self-study course. And throughout the process, I've heard these little whispers of, but you're not qualified to lead a course. You haven't done 1,000 degrees in course making. But it's things that I've put together from client sessions, from personal experience, from professional qualifications, from professional experience.
Yeah.
I think this is what people need to hear, right? It's not about, anxiety, breathe through it, or 5 ways of fixing it. That's surface level stuff. If you want to make the changes, and believe me, you can and you will.
Yeah.
It's about going a little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
And you go as deeper enough as you need to in order to get that sense of balance and safety. Something I'm curious about in terms of the friendships and trust are things like retreats. And I see a lot of these coming up. And I want to know more about yours and how that sort of fits in what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually never saw myself hosting a retreat. My background, well, it's nutrition. And I was spending so much time away from Mamadou, and we were like ships in the night. We weren't seeing each other. And this Airbnb thing came up. Mm-hmm. So we tried this Airbnb thing in our spare bedroom. And within 2 months, it paid the mortgage. And I thought, I wonder if we can do this on a bigger scale. So we chose Oxford just because we studied there, we know it very well, and within 18 months we both quit our jobs and started doing it full time.
Yeah.
So I knew how to host people, but we actually semi-automated it. Our income went up, the time that I was working went down.
When you say semi-automated,
we have systems and we have
right, okay, like
we have a team, so they were doing the work where once it was just Mamadou and I. So we had less and less to do, good income, and to be honest, I'd lost my purpose and I was feeling really lonely and isolated because I was working from home. All these systems in place where I would normally be meeting people.
Yeah.
I would normally have a bit of community because I was, meeting new guests all the time, and that all stopped. And I was like, how do I bring more connection into my life?
Yeah.
And I saw loads of other people doing retreats, and I was like, I want to give this a go.
Yeah.
So I did my first one last year, and it was females, business owners, age doesn't matter. I actually attracted quite a few people that were quite new to the journey or were there for sort of a few years, and they were in the same situation. They were lonely. They were solopreneurs. They were doing it in their home office. And it's hard. It is hard being a business owner, doing it on your own, and not having those business besties.
It is.
So I was like, I'm going to set something up. And we did it in Spain, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And essentially, I want people to get out of survival mode. That busy hustle and bustle part of the day that can come with being an entrepreneur, and I want them to relax and chill and get into dream mode.
Right.
I thought, how do I draw these busy people in that are going, do I want a break? And I'm saying, let's connect as women and let's go away with so many connections. Because actually last year at the retreat, they all formed a WhatsApp and they all still keep in contact.
That's so
and
good.
it did exactly what I was hoping it would do.
Amazing.
So I think that was a good move on my behalf.
Absolutely. And I feel like when we come together, when, taking a break from our busy lives, it lends perspective to things, right? It kind of helps to realign, well, what do I want for myself? I've taken out 3 or 4 days here. This is great. I want to do more of this. It doesn't mean that we have to then go back into that old monotonous routine. It can be a great way of stopping and saying, right, how do I get more time for myself?
And actually, what is the saying? I think it was like Stephen Covey that says, we are the 5 people we spend the most time with.
Yeah. Right.
And I remember listening to this and being like, I want to be a bit happier. So I found a friend, Nathaniel, who was within our friendship group, and he was a happy person. And I naturally found myself becoming a bit more happy and picking up on him. It's not that simple. I know it's not. But I thought, in regards to the retreat in business, if you want to get better in business, hang around with people that are better than you in business.
Right.
If you want to meet more friends, get on platforms that other people want to make more friends.
Yes.
And it's sort of like a duh.
Yeah, but no one thinks about it that way. It's like, well, these are my friends, and there is this sense of loyalty that I have to stay with them.
Yeah.
And I think, again, come back to the whole friendship thing as well. When you find yourself in friendship groups where everybody's the same, no one's really doing anything different, and no one kind of brings anything new to the table. You want people that are dynamic, that are fun, that you can bounce ideas off.
Even like, what book are you reading? What podcast have you listened to?
How often do we have that conversation?
All the time. I was just about to say, we haven't started this podcast with what book are you reading at the moment? I have actually told you about the book that I'm reading. Which brings me on nicely, Nisha.
Yeah.
I'm not quite at the end, but she does give some tips on how to create the best friendships of your life. She talks about a season that she was in where she moved cities, she felt very isolated and very lonely. She said, give it a year. It takes time. These things don't happen overnight. Do the things that open you up to opportunities. So you have to go to the brunches. You have to go to the Bumble BFF dates, and sometimes they suck, and sometimes you find your niches.
Right.
And
or your polys.
And the habit of going first. Because it's so easy to go like, maybe they'll say something.
Right.
Maybe like, if you're at a networking meeting or a friend's meet up or whatever, maybe they'll say something. It's the habit of going first, she said.
And I love that as well, because just go for it.
Yeah.
It's like, what's that saying? What if you fail? Or what if you fly?
Exactly.
Just go, be vulnerable, do the thing. And, if it's catastrophic and you have this god-awful Bridget Jones moment, that builds resilience. And again, that's what therapy is for. But what happens if you do it and it works out? That confidence, that self-esteem, it's brilliant. That's how you make these natural progressions.
100%. And also, it is fucking scary. And as someone who has gone through this, you get better. So she was saying that if you go to the coffee shop and you see someone that's there all the time, you just go, hey, I see you all the time here. I was going to say Mel, my name's actually Polly. And then you say, so next time you go in, and then you get your nose app up and you go, that was, I don't know, Kevin or Jane or whoever from the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And, even if you've got your favourite barista. Like, what's their name? This creates, they're not deep relationships, but it creates a sense of community where you're living. She said, compliment people everywhere you go. And this is something actually I'm quite good at. I've been known to run after someone with a nice coat just to say, I had to tell you, you look really, really good. Mumdy's like, where the fuck is she running off to? I'm like, I had to tell her she looked great.
Yeah.
Be curious. Or smile and say hello to everyone. I guess this is building up your confidence.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And all these, like, tiny, tiny little things, it makes you feel like you've connected with people.
Right. It's the 1%. It's the compound effect.
Yeah.
Right. If you do 1% every day, you say hello to someone different, or you do these things that you're saying, you'll start to build that, and it will have an accumulative effect. You'll make friendships, you'll make relationships, you'll be more comfortable in yourself, your self-esteem, your confidence will grow. You'll trust yourself more.
100%. And actually, funnily enough, I got my hair at this amazing place in Spain, Mijas Natural, shout out to them. And the receptionist, Evelina, is now a really good friend of mine, because I kept going in, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Are you on Instagram over time?
Yeah.
And then she moved to London. I was like, hey, are you around?
Right.
And now you've met her.
Now I know her.
She's a mutual friend of ours.
Absolutely. And she's wicked for little bits and pieces. She's so good that person that you just need in the room, she's always there. And it's
She's amazing.
She is.
You literally don't know who you're going to meet. And so the final one, she said, do this without exception. Creating connections with other people will improve your life. The warmth you give to others always finds its way back to you, which I think is true.
Yes.
It's sort of like karma. There's good karma as well. We always talk about bad karma, but there's good karma too.
There is. And actually, you could be the person that has such a nice impact on somebody that they come up to you and say, in so many words, oh, are you free for a coffee? Let's go out. They become a new friend, right? You come full circle to these things.
Yes.
It's not just about finding those people, but people will find you as well.
And do it when awkward. I think, so it was few years ago now. It was my partner's 30th birthday, and one of his colleagues came, who's a good friend of his, and he brought a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, she looks stunning.
Yeah.
And then she's got like a really lovely energy about her at the party that I organised. And I said to her, I don't suppose you want to meet for coffee. Like, I heard you're in business, me too. Maybe there's a connection here. I'm always looking for new, like, business friends.
And what you've just said there, I think, is a fantastic script. Because it can be really intimidating to say, well, I want to ask this person, can we spend some time to get to know each other without it sounding like a date or sounding weird or creepy. Yeah. So what you've just said there, fantastic.
And actually, the things that we sort of off the cuff generally are probably going to work for us. And if we're a bit awkward and weird anyway, show that, because,
it's being natural, it's being who you are, it's being vulnerable.
And I'm very awkward. I can be very awkward. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
no, I haven't.
Yeah, no, I do see it all the time. It's coming.
Right, but I think as well, if you can't laugh with that person, and they're not going to see the funny side, and they just don't.
They're not your people. So she says, So a few examples, she said. Look for events and group classes that interest you. When you click with someone, take it out of the class. Ask them to grab coffee. Look for events that are interesting and reach out to the people you've been hanging out with to see if anyone wants to go as a group. So you can make the group a little bit larger and gradually find your people. She said, slowly but surely, one hello at a time, you can make friends. And I like that.
That is great.
And you can build that into your everyday life, can't you?
And I think as well, be discerning around, like, if you meet this person, you go for a coffee, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay with them, but how do you know that they are your person? How do you know that they've got the same energies that you're looking for? Just observe, how do they talk about themselves? How do they talk about people around them? I think is a huge way of showing, is this my person? You're going to be able to quantify very quickly. Do I want them in, to have this relationship, or maybe not? And if not, that's okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nisha, how can people find you if they are thinking, I'm in that space, I'm ready to take the next step?
Yeah.
I like the sound of Nisha,
yeah,
and I definitely need therapy.
Right.
How do they find you?
So you can find me on my website, innerspace.therapy.uk. I'll put the full address and my socials in the notes. And what I offer are one-to-one sessions through packages. I also offer a self-paced healing course. It's called Becoming Whole. And
love that.
I chose the title for lots of different reasons. I think the main one is that we ourselves can be whole. It's always miffed me off when I've heard, oh, my other half, my better half. You're not half. You're whole as you are. It's coming back to yourself. As well, yeah. Right? It's always coming back to yourself. And so this course, it's a gentle but powerful journey looking into the roots of anxiety, low self-worth, relationship struggles, emotional overwhelm. And there are video teachings, there are hypnosis guidance, there are somatic practices, journaling prompts. There's a full 50-page plus workbook. watch the video, pause it, go to the workbook, come back again. And it's self-paced, which means that you can go into these exercises as much as you want. You can watch it over and over again. It helps to understand emotional patterns, reparenting the parts that maybe never felt safe or you didn't feel good enough. This is for the woman who's done talking herself out of her own pain. She's ready to meet herself with compassion, courage, and kindness.
So guys, go check her out. Go look at her website. Go check her out.
We'll put the notes below. And until next time, honor what you feel, protect your peace, and keep coming back to yourself.
Lots of love. Bye.